Singapore is now the world's second most competitive economy, overtaken by Switzerland after slipping in efficiency and infrastructure. Joining us to unpack the shift is Pushpin Singh from CEBR. Welcome, Pushpin. Let's first talk about the cause. What drove Singapore's decline in government efficiency?
Well, the kind of decline in government efficiency was actually driven by the sub-pillar, which is denoted tax policy. So that includes your whole host of tax fiscal policies enacted by the Singaporean government, including personal taxes and corporation taxes as well. I suspect, given Singapore's ranking on the tax policy sub-pillar dropped 5 positions from 10th to 15th over the last year, it could be reflective of the recent GST hikes that the government has embarked on, which has increased to 8% in 2023 and then phased again to 9% in 2024. While GST is meant to be a consumer tax, it is inevitable that businesses will eventually bear some cost of it as well, through perhaps compliance costs, cash flow strains, margin pressures, and these are more likely to weigh on SMEs rather than large businesses. It is given the larger fall in tax policy subpillar compared to other pillars such as in business efficiency and infrastructure, it is very much likely that tax policy was kind of the key driver of Singapore's drop in one ranking in the World Competitiveness Ranking.
But how did that happen? How did Switzerland gain an edge over Singapore?
I think it's very important to take the index into context here. The index tracks the relative performance of each country against all the other countries in the sample. As such, I would say that Switzerland's performance and its ability to overtake Singapore in this year's index is much more a theme of relative stability rather than having kind of gotten an edge over Singapore. So you have Switzerland being relatively stable. One of the key things is that it's weathered the global inflationary pressures well due to its strong currency and also more disciplined budget. So it's not really been exposed to a lot of this international kind of global downturn as much as Singapore has, given its reliance on trade. So you have Switzerland exhibiting relative stability, but Singapore, seeing slight deterioration. And then if you were to take these two together, that has led Switzerland overtaking it, not by virtue of getting an edge on Singapore, but just because it was a lot more stable over the last couple of years as well.
So is there still a workaround? What steps can Singapore take to regain its lead?
I think very much so. I don't necessarily think that the recent latest results for the World Competitiveness Ranking shows that Singapore has lost its edge. Obviously, current kind of themes and developments have led to kind of changes in fiscal policy that have led to a decline in this position. But I think this dip kind of more prominently reflects temporary undercurrents rather than a fundamental loss in Singapore's ability to be a leading economy and a leading market. I think what Singapore can do to get back to the first position would probably kind of require doubling down on some of its priority kind of sectors and targets, essentially, such as skilling and upskilling, which I believe the Prime Minister has recently again once more focused on as part of its NDP rally last week. Building critical infrastructure and ensuring that it's on top of kind of major technology changes such as AI, for example, while managing the risks of trade tensions and global geopolitical developments, given Singapore's reliance on trade. I mean, if Singapore were to continue to focus on these matters as it has done previously, I don't necessarily see an issue for the country regaining its top ranking.
But if you were to give a recommendation, Pushpin, which one should Singapore prioritize?
I think it would be definitely kind of continuing the progress towards upskilling and reskilling its workforce. I mean, I grew up in Singapore. I think one of the key things that has always been mentioned and prioritized is the fact that human capital is one of the more kind of like integral aspects for Singapore's economy, given the lack of natural resources. So it's ensuring that the workforce is sufficiently skilled, has the skills for the future, while taking into account, the aging population, more tighter immigration rules, etc. All of these factors really lend to the fact that the workforce needs to be sufficiently trained and skilled to be able to meet the kind of demands both domestically and internationally as well.
Thank you so much for your time today, Pushpin. Looking forward to having you back on the program.
Thank you so much.
Once again, that was Pushpin Singh, Managing Economist at the Center for Economics and Business Research. For more news, visit sbr.com.sg.